Welcome back to Book Break. In today's video we are going to play a game. This is a BookTube challenge video that was created by Jesse the Reader. I will link to his original video below. This is the Flip the Page challenge. I've actually done this a couple of times before over on my own channel, so I thought it was time to try it out on Book Break, but this time with a twist. In today's Flip the Page challenge, I'm going to be using entirely classics. So Flip the Page is a kind of bookish consequences game. Jesse has come up with a storyline and there are several points along the way, along the story, to pause, flip to a random page of your book and fill in the blanks that way to figure out which way your story is going. I have collected all of the MCLs I could find to do this, so let's dive in. Let's figure out what my story is going to be with the help of these trusty classics. So here goes. The story begins with getting a new identity. In my first book, I'm going to flip to a random page and the first name I see is my new name. Funnily enough, the book at the very top of my pile here is Emma by Jane Austen. That's already my name. So let's see if I get stuck with Emma again or if I can find a new identity for myself. So, random page, the first name I just saw was Frank Churchill. My name is Frank Churchill. Pleased to meet you. Next, we need to figure out where I live. So the next book I've got here is Wonderful Adventures of Mrs. Seacole in Many Lands. So hopefully I could go somewhere quite exciting. So where does Frank Churchill live? Crimea. Living by the Black Sea. Interesting. Next up I've got rather a spooky book, The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. From this book I need to find out my job. So I'm just going to take the first object I see and figure out what job I have based on that. Graves. I'm a grave digger. I'm not sure that I'm loving my new identity so far, but next I get to find out my love interest. That could spice things up. The next book on my pile is Irish Ghost Stories, so I think I might end up with a supernatural love interest, which I guess makes sense. I'm a grave digger. Those are probably the people that I'm hanging out with the most, are the people who are already dead. So let's find out Frank's love interest. A little girl. I'm not sure that's appropriate. We're going to do it again just because I don't think that's right. Corpse. A corpse. Oh my god. Should I do third time lucky? Bob. Okay, we have a name. Bob. I don't know who Bob is, but Bob is my love interest. He's not a little girl and he's not a corpse, so that's much better. Frank and Bob, we sound like we make a good pair. So here it's been getting a little exciting. I, Frank, have been making eyes at Bob across the graves for a little while now, and I'm finally gonna gather up the courage to speak to him. So the first line of dialogue that I find in The Count of Monte Cristo is gonna be the first thing that I say to Bob. Here goes. What is the matter with you? Okay, I mean it's not the flirtiest of first lines I've ever heard, but it could have been worse considering everything that's happened to me so far. So our eyes meet across the graves, Frank and Bob, and I say, what is the matter with you? Okay, so let's assume that that worked great. Bob and Frank are now in love, and now I'm getting ready to propose to him. But digging graves doesn't get me that much money, so I can't afford a wedding ring. So next I'm finding out what object I'm going to use to propose instead. So the next book I've got here is Anne of Green Gables. I'm going to find an object from here. Dear Bob, as a symbol of my love for you, I would like to present you with this pencil. A pencil. A slate pencil. It has my heart with it. Miraculously, even though I proposed with a pencil and the first thing I said to him was, what's the matter with you, we have made it to the wedding day. So next I need to find another piece of dialogue, oh dear, to figure out what the first line of my vows are going to be. This doesn't bode well. The next book on top of my pile is The Yellow Wallpaper, which is about a woman who is being locked in a room by her husband. So it's not going to be the most romantic thing I could find. So we're standing up there at the top of the aisle. I turn to Bob and I say, I'd as soon shoot my aunts. What? You know what? We can fix this. Let's assume that my vows go on to say, I'd as soon shoot my aunts as I would walk away from you, my dear Bob. Right, we're going on honeymoon. So the first location that I find in this Sherlock Holmes collection is where we're going on honeymoon. So now we're taking a little trip to India. We're going to India. Okay, Doesn't say where in India we're going, but we'll leave that up to our imaginations. Okay, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby in the baby carriage. We are now expecting a baby. So the first name that I find in Passing by Nella Larsen is going to be the name of our firstborn child. And that name is Irene. That's the main character of this book, so that makes sense. Frank, Bob and baby Irene. Delightful little family I've got going so far. But now we're going to jump forward 5 years and baby Irene wants a pet. So somehow in Lord Peter Wimsey Investigates I have to find a creature, and that is the pet that we're going to let Irene have. Okay Irene, you can have a cricket. You can have a cricket. That's actually a great pet. You can have a cricket. How long do they live? I don't think that long. Irene's going to be really happy for 2 to 3 days. Next we're sending Irene off to school, so using a selection of words that I find on a random page of The Adventures of Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Thief, I'm going to find the name of her school. Okay, we have words like danger, violent, these don't sound great for her school, knickknacks. Knickknacks could be a cute nursery name. She's going to Knickknacks Nursery. She can bring her cricket if it's still alive. So now with all that extra time I've got since Irene went off to school, I, Frank, am going to start a YouTube channel. The first object that I find in The Tiger and the Smoke, this is a classic crime book, is going to be what my channel is about. Let's hope it's not graves again. So my channel is going to be about knives. Oh god. Frank is not a cheery chap. Want to see my knife collection over on YouTube? Subscribe below. I also have to name that channel, so what should we name the weird knife channel? Triple Crime. Triple Crime would be a good name. My YouTube channel is called Triple Crime. It's about knives. The final thing I have to do for my channel is figure out what my intro is. I can't be saying welcome back to Book Break, so the first line of dialogue I find is going to be my viewer greeting. That's what I thought. That's the first thing I say in every video. That's what I thought. Welcome back to Triple Crime, my YouTube channel, all about knives. This makes no sense. But plot twist, the reason I had to create a new identity for myself in the first place is because I was being hunted by a killer. And this killer is going to catch up with me. I've got another classic crime novel here, so I'm going to use this twice to find out the identity of my killer and the object that they will use to kill me when they inevitably catch up with me. The name of my killer is Mr. Lug. Ugh, I hate Mr. Lug. And he's gonna kill me with a rib. Oh, probably from one of my graves. It says here that he killed me while I was setting up for a YouTube video. This is so disappointing. So sadly, I have been murdered by Mr. Lug, so we're coming to the end of my story, but as appropriate as I am a gravedigger, I should have a really nice grave. So let us just find the words that will go on my tombstone. I've run out of books, so I'm going to go back to where I started with the book Emma, and the first line I see, the first sentence at all, whether or not it's dialogue, is going to be the first line on my tombstone. R.I.P. Frank Churchill. He had done it. What does that mean? So I hope you enjoyed that weird little story. I will link below to Jesse's original video so you can go over and find his prompts and go on that little journey for yourself. See how differently your story turns out. Mine was a little bit dark, I think you'd agree. If you want to find out more about this classics collection, I will link to a video we made here where we went behind the scenes and found out how these classics are chosen, how the covers are selected and more. And I will also link here to a playlist full of all of our videos where we play games here on Book Break. So do click through and have a browse, and I'll see you next time.